As many of you know, February is Black History Month, and Nina Simone was born in February in a small town called Tryon in North Carolina, which is really close to where my log cabin is. And they have a beautiful statue erected on Main Street, and we would see it often after indulging at the Purple Onion after a hike. And what's fascinating about her is that she was already playing the piano at the age of 3 years old. And she gave her first piano recital at the age of 12. And her parents were in the front row, and they were moved to the back of the auditorium so that white folks could have seats in the front row. And at the age of 12, she refused to play until her parents were moved back to the front row. So by the mid-60s, I think her destiny was already in play. She became the voice of the civil rights movement. And in response to the 1963 Birmingham church bombing, which killed 4 young African girls, and in response to the assassination of Medgar Evers, who was the first secretary of the NAACP, she recorded a song entitled Mississippi Goddamn. And it had a very negative effect on her career. But after recording 40 albums, over 40 albums, she was finally inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2000. And life wasn't always easy for Nina Simone. Her decision to get married to a New York police detective wound up him abusing her physically as well as psychologically for 10 years. He was also her manager and the father of their child. And the song that I shared with you this morning was published in 1992 as part of her autobiography. And so when I think about those words, I put a spell on you, it makes me wonder how much power our words really carry. If we could put a spell on those around us, what would happen if we began to use different languaging? If we began to speak from a place of love, to breathe life into our greatest joys, and to embody our Christed consciousness. Because we are one with the Creator, our words, whether spoken or silent, literally create the world around us. Our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, and the words we use to express our beliefs become the language of creation that we use on a daily basis. So when we cast a spell, we are really spelling our reality. And that reality becomes the world we experience. And Robert Tennyson Stevens, in his book entitled Conscious Language, says that the science of choosing the words that express our true intent are the quantum templates of health, abundance, peace, and relationships. And every week when I create the e-blast, I use a template. The dates, the images, and the events are always changing. But the template or the foundation remains the same. So how important are the templates that we use in our life? If, for instance, we would like to attract in some candy, and we don't have any money in our pocket, how would we go about shifting that template? Maybe we might have a friend who gives us some chocolate. Maybe we might cross the threshold into the convenience store and we're the millionth customer and they hand us a bag of candy. Or maybe we buy a raffle ticket and we win that Godiva heart-shaped box of chocolate. If we are affirming that every summer we get a cold, how will we attract in health? If we're working on a loving relationship and we affirm aloud that all the good women and all the good men are already taken, how do we attract in a loving relationship? So the reality of everyday life outpictures as the experience of what our deepest beliefs have created through our word. And in the verse from Nina Simone, she sings, "If I can't stand your running around and you won't stop the things you do, I'll just put a spell on you 'cause you're mine." So this sounds like it's okay to insist that you be my Valentine, which is the title of my talk this morning. So that kind of love is certainly conditional. If you take out the trash, I'll cook you dinner. If you buy me candy, I will take you to the movies. So this is not the kind of love we're talking about. In this context, putting a spell on anyone isn't exactly authentic. When we use the power of the mind in alignment with the language of the heart, that's when we create a greater awareness of our oneness, of our connectedness. So think about the universal thought forms of humanity. Think about the effect that our unconscious language could have if we speak, think, and act before we're ready spiritually. We get in life that which we focus upon. And becoming conscious of the language that we speak requires a shift in our own self-perception. And my personal template is in alignment with Dr. Ernest Holmes to remain open at the top. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And I was talking with Kathleen Sibley, who's our regional director, and she mentioned a quote to me from Alice Bailey. And that quote is, "I remain open at the top, but not at the bottom." And so the bottom where I stand is in support of the science of mind principles. And the reason that I stand there is because I know that there is a power for good in the universe that is greater than I am, and I can use it. And the science of mind teaching is what brought that into my conscious awareness. And I have seen it work. I have seen it change so many people's lives. That power for good in the universe is the power of God. And Marianne Williams, in her book entitled Return to Love, says that the thought God holds of you is like a star. It's unchangeable in an eternal sky. So maybe it's time to create a new spelling, to get in touch with our own eternality. John Lennon used to sing, "Imagine all the people living life as one." Imagine our thoughts creating a new earth that is based upon the light of love. Lord knows we've used the power of the words to blame and to judge. But it's time to set a new intention, to communicate from a place of love with our brothers and sisters here in this community and with the people that we meet outside. The nature and the dynamics of our belief system creates the boundaries of what we experience. So the more specific we are in our spelling, the more instantaneous our manifestations become. We touch one another through the power of our word. Our language has the capacity to create or to destroy. And we know this to be true from personal experience. We can elevate another human being to great heights by simply sharing our confidence in their ideas. We can also devastate them with gossip and rumors. The use we make of our everyday personal consciousness contributes to the collective reality of the world. It's like the rock that you skip across this pond. The ripple effect just keeps growing and growing and growing. Our relationships are part of a vast plan for our enlightenment. A template, when used in alignment with spiritual laws, provides guidance towards a greater conscious awareness of unconditional love. And Marianne Williams says, to love another person is to see the face of God in that person, regardless of the mask of fear or negativity that they might be wearing. So relationships exist to teach us how to more deeply love ourselves, to see as God sees, to think as God thinks, and to love as God loves. And I want to share with you this morning 5 different levels of loving relationships. And the first one is casual encounters. This is when you get onto the elevator with someone else, when you check out at the grocery store, when you pass somebody in the parking lot. And the purpose of these casual encounters is to practice softening our personalities. Did you engage the person in the elevator in conversation? Did you smile at the person you passed in the parking lot? Did you have a meaningful conversation with the cashier at the grocery store? And the second level is a more sustained relationship. And this is when 2 people are brought together for a period of time for more intense work. Perhaps you sign up here at the center for the same class and you work together for maybe 8 weeks. Or you join a new yoga class. Or you sign up to attend maybe a Course in Miracles. Or you participate in one of our weekly meditations on a regular basis. And the purpose of these sustained relationships is for certain lessons to be learned. And when the highest level of learning is achieved, the relationship normally ends. You may have heard the expression, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Which brings me to the third level of relationships, and those are the ones that last our entire life. These are people who have unlimited amounts of learning to share with us. And the purpose of the lifetime relationships is to lift our capacity to love. And these happen usually with a parent, a sibling, maybe a best friend or a partner, someone who will lovingly participate with us our entire life. someone we might even experience as a thorn in our side, someone whose presence forces us to grow. That was my mama for me. And the fourth level is the special relationship. And this is the relationship with the other half, or what you hear often spoken about as your soulmate, or the one who wants to be your Valentine. So this is someone we believe will complete us. And the purpose of this relationship is to deliver us from the temptation to judge and find fault. So this is someone who has come into your life to mirror back at you whatever it is you need to be working on. And by the way, both my husbands were really good at this. So you probably know the two key words to a successful relationship. Yes, dear. Would you rather be right or happy? Marianne Williams tells us that those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. And this is the fifth level, and of course the most meaningful. This is when you encounter your other whole. So there's no one out there that's going to fix you. This is when two people come together for the greater glory of God. And the purpose is to teach us that love isn't found outside of ourselves. This is someone who will help you open your mind, open your heart. And this is a friendship that goes beyond the physical. The choice to love isn't always easy. Why? Because we have to give up fear. We never know how or why someone gets to where they are in their consciousness. But people or circumstances that are outside of ourselves don't determine our peace. We do. So a holy relationship is with someone who helps us see the innocence in others, so that we might discover it within ourselves. It is someone who makes a conscious decision to focus on love and sets an intention to let the rest go. This is someone who helps us to discover that love comes from God. The power of our relationships shifts our collective consciousness because of the way we spell our beliefs. And this affects our abundance, our creativity, our loving relationships, and our health. Letting go of grievances against other people is a decision to see ourselves as we truly are, whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. So the purpose of any relationship is to open our minds and to open our hearts, whatever spiritual path we are walking upon. The question becomes, are we willing to say what we really mean by saying it consciously? Or do we need to cast a spell? And I'm going to cast a spell right now on that box of Godiva chocolate. Be my Valentine. Thank you, and namaste.